Denzel Washington wasn't playing no games when it came to exposing the truth about the industry, and Spike Lee had much to say about it. Hollywood has always been at the other end of scrutiny and has been exposed by many fellow actors. Denzel is no exception. Hollywood's supposed sinister agenda was always at the crux of conversation for many, and now the truth is getting out. The 2019 American Film Institute Awards saw a fantastic Spike Lee tribute to Denzel Washington. It was a grand celebration of Denzel's extraordinary talent and his profound influence on Hollywood, especially when it comes to changing the game for black masculinity in movies. Spike Lee kicked things off by saying, "Denzel, for me, represents our black manhood." In simple words, Denzel is the poster boy for black masculinity in an industry with a sketchy history of racial stereotypes and biases. But the real heart-pounding moment was when Spike gave Denzel a standing ovation for his Malcolm X portrayal, saying, "When I saw what you did in Malcolm X, that's never been done before." Denzel smashed the barriers that typically held back black actors in Hollywood. One more thing, Spike and Denzel both call Brooklyn home, and Spike couldn't help but throw in a bit of that Brooklyn flavor, saying, "I may be biased, but I'm from Brooklyn, so what?" Their shared background in Brooklyn has had a huge impact on their careers and the way they view the world. And Spike didn't forget to highlight Denzel's incredible work ethic. He boldly claimed it's the greatest performance ever on celluloid. Denzel's dedication to his craft helped him channel Malcolm X's spirit and break free from those often shallow and stereotypical roles Hollywood handed out to black actors. Spike Lee didn't shy away from addressing the deep-seated issues in Hollywood either. Denzel had already talked about how Hollywood had a thing for saying black actors in black-themed movies wouldn't do well overseas. Denzel questioned, "You often hear that black actors in black movies don't play well overseas. It's like Hollywood was making excuses to stick to their unfair biases." When the conversation shifted to the Oscars and the whole diversity and inclusion debate, Denzel had a unique perspective. He'd been through it all, not winning, and even when everyone thought he'd win and he didn't. This made it clear that the Oscars weren't exactly fair when it came to black actors. But Denzel had a simple response when asked about it. "I didn't have to think about it, I lived it." Yep, he acknowledged the disparities but didn't let them define his career or how he saw things. Spike Lee and Denzel Washington's tribute reminded us how Hollywood used to think that black actors in movies about black stories wouldn't fly internationally. But it turned out to be just a big old myth. Hollywood kept saying black actors in black movies wouldn't sell over here and there. Denzel summed it up perfectly. They used to say it didn't sell over here, then it does. Then it said it doesn't sell in the South, then it does. It was just all a bunch of excuses to hold back black talent. The chat then took a wild turn into the curious case of black male comedians being put in dresses. Why did it seem like a trend? Dave Chappelle had some thoughts on this and he wasn't buying it. When I see that they put every black man in the movies in a dress at some point in their career, I'll be connecting like, why all these brothers got weird dressed? It's true, a lot of famous black male comedians have put on dresses in TV shows and movies. Now, it's not to say that these characters didn't bring the laughs. They totally did. Iconic characters like Shanann Jenkins from the show Martin and Medea had given us endless joy. But it's essential to recognize that they also had their fair share of criticism. Dave Chappelle had his own story to share. He once turned down a massive payday because they wanted him to put on a dress in the movie Blue Streak. Even though everyone was pushing him to do it and telling him that all the greats did it at some point in their careers, Dave stood his ground. He wondered if there was some secret agenda to have famous black actors dress up in women's clothes. But here's the deal, not everyone saw it the same way. Eddie Murphy, a legend in comedy, dressed up as multiple characters, including ladies, in films like The Nutty Professor and its sequel, Nutty Professor 2: The Clumps. He made it work big time, getting applause from critics and making bank at the box office. Even Martin Lawrence, who rocked the role of Shanann Jenkins, decided to revisit the cross-dressing gig in Big Mama's house. Fans loved it, and it grossed over $174 million worldwide. Some other big names like Chris Tucker, Wesley Snipes, Tracy Morgan, and Ving Rhames have dabbled in cross-dressing roles. Now, let's talk about the king of it all, Tyler Perry. He's best known for his character Medea, a sassy grandma who doesn't take any nonsense. He's done this character in stage plays and movies, and people can't get enough of Medea. But that doesn't mean Tyler Perry hasn't faced his fair share of criticism, including from Spike Lee. And in one of his podcast chats with rapper T.I., Tyler Perry made it clear that nobody forced him to put on that dress. He chose to create and become Medea. So while folks like Dave Chappelle might have reservations about these roles, Perry had been defending his choices, saying it was all him. You might be wondering how this all connects to Spike Lee. Well, Lee's career has been all about addressing racial issues in the movie he makes. Films like Do the Right Thing and Malcolm X dive deep into the racial tensions and social inequalities that have plagued America. He forces you to face uncomfortable truths, even when Hollywood wasn't too eager to do it. The fascinating thing about Spike Lee is that he believes black filmmakers should break into the industry and build a solid record of making films rather than pushing for a separate black production, distribution, and exhibition system. In other words, he's all about inclusion and integration, not isolation. Spike Lee practices what he preaches, having his production company called 40 Acres and a Mule. They've produced loads of feature films, and here's the kicker. Spike Lee often plays multiple roles in these films: writer, director, producer, you name it. One thing he does that doesn't get enough credit is his commitment to mentoring the next generation of talent, no matter where they come from. People like Rusty Cundiff, Darnell Martin, and Cassie Lemons have benefited from Spike Lee's guidance. Plus, his movies have given a platform to actors like Halle Berry, Giancarlo Esposito, Bill Nunn, and Danny Aiello, giving them their big breaks. Spike Lee's career is like a roller coaster that's been running for over 3 decades. But guess what? He's still got that youthful curiosity and a fearless approach to his work. He's not afraid to ask tough questions and take on challenging topics, especially when it comes to race, class, and gender. Spike Lee isn't just a filmmaker, he's an advocate. He's been vocal about social injustice, police brutality, and the movie industry's representation issues. His work, which includes more than 35 feature films, shows how ready he is to tackle the toughest subjects and break all the rules. As a producer, Spike Lee has worked on movies like Bamboozled, where he tackles the media's history of racial stereotypes with satire and dark humor. Get on the Bus is another one in his producer list, diving into essential social and cultural themes. In 2019, he won his first competitive Oscar for Best Adapted Screenplay for BlacKkKlansman. But even in his moment of glory, he used it to call out the lack of diversity in the industry. He said, "Every time somebody's driving somebody, I lose." His candid remarks hit home and shone a light on the systematic problems Hollywood has. What's so incredible about Spike Lee's journey is his unrelenting determination to challenge the norm. He puts racial issues, social inequalities, and the Black American experience in the spotlight, pushing essential conversations that matter on a global scale. Well, that's it for today's video. If you like this, check out our other videos and don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.